Did you know Sukuna was once a human? Or Gojo is actually him? Well, let's go over every special grade sorcerer's backstory in Jujutsu Kaisen. And we gotta start with one of the most mysterious and powerful sorcerers in Jujutsu Kaisen, Yuki Tsukumo, the only special grade who refuses to take orders from anyone. Now, Yuki's story is wild. Before she became the free-spirited powerhouse we know, she was chosen as a star plasma vessel, basically a sacrifice meant to merge with Master Tengen to keep him immortal. Yeah, a literal death sentence wrapped in duty. But unlike Riko Amanai, who accepted her fate and died, Yuki survived. Watching young women constantly being sacrificed made her furious. She resented the system, the higher-ups, and especially Tengen for demanding innocent lives. She can literally hear the voices of her fellow vessels trapped inside Tengen, and it haunts her. This turned Yuki into a total rebel. She became one of only 4 special grade sorcerers, but refuses to work for Jujutsu High. People call her lazy, saying she just travels around doing whatever she wants. But the truth? Yuki realized exercising curses one by one is pointless when more keep spawning from humanity's negative emotions. So she dedicated her life to finding a way to eliminate curses completely and forever. Her quest led her down dark paths though. In 2007, she met Suguru Geto when he was struggling mentally after Riko's death. Trying to help, Yuki mentioned that technically you could eliminate curses by killing all non-sorcerers. She said she'd never do that, just thinking out loud. But Geto was already breaking, and that conversation planted the seed that turned him into a villain. Yuki unintentionally influenced one of Jujutsu's biggest tragedies. Despite her rebellious nature, Yuki's super playful. She's got this signature question: what kind of girls do you like? Sound familiar? Yeah, Aoi Todo got it from her. When Todo was just a bored kid, Yuki trained him so brutally it left physical scars, but turned him into an exceptional grade 1 sorcerer. When the Shibuya incident went down, Yuki confronted Kenjaku and saved a whole group of sorcerers. Her technique, Star Rage, lets her add virtual mass to her attacks. Imagine getting punched by a fist that weighs as much as a building. In her final battle against Kenjaku, even with her body mangled and broken, Yuki kept fighting with a smile. When he cut her in half, she didn't give up. In her last moments, she turned herself into a black hole to take him down with her, suppressing its full power to save the world. Yuki Tsukumo died fighting for her dream, a world without curses, where people choose their own path. Now let's talk about the true mastermind behind everything in Jujutsu Kaisen, Kenjaku, a curse user who's been alive for over 1,000 years. Kenjaku's story is insane because his original body, we don't even know what it looked like. All that's left is his brain, and it's not even normal, it has teeth. His innate technique lets him transplant his brain into other people's bodies, dead or alive, and completely take them over. He gains their memories, cursed energy, and techniques. The only way to tell it's him is the stitch scar circling the top of his victim's head. For over 1,000 years, Kenjaku has been body hopping under different identities, plotting ultimate chaos. One of his most infamous identities was Noritoshi Kamo during the Meiji era, where his experiments with humans and curses were so vile he became known as the most evil sorcerer in history. He created the Cursed Womb death paintings by fusing human flesh with curses, experiments so horrifying that all records were destroyed. But Kenjaku's scheming goes way deeper. He possessed Kaori Itadori, Yuji's mother, and gave birth to Yuji specifically to create the perfect vessel for Sukuna. He planned this generations in advance. Then he took over Suguru Geto's body right after Gojo killed him, stealing Geto's cursed spirit manipulation technique. This wasn't random. Kenjaku needed that specific ability for his master plan. What makes Kenjaku terrifying isn't just his power, it's his mind. He's calm, calculating, and always 10 steps ahead. He orchestrated the entire Shibuya incident just to seal Satoru Gojo. He studied Gojo for years, realized he was strongest when fighting alone, so Kenjaku created a situation with civilians, multiple special grade curses, and perfect timing to trap him in the prison realm. And it worked. His ultimate goal? To merge all of Japan's population with Master Tengen and see what happens. When asked why, Kenjaku compared it to being a toddler with a crayon and blank paper. He's doing it because it seems fun. After 1,000 years, the only thing that excites him is creating uncontrollable chaos to see cursed energy's true potential. Kenjaku manipulates everyone. He convinced Sukuna to split his soul into 20 cursed objects. He tricked hundreds of sorcerers to join the culling game. He even manipulated the US military into invading Japan as pawns. When Yuki Tsukumo Tsukumo and Choso fought him together, Kenjaku dominated. His domain expansion, Womb Perfusion, is an open barrier type, something only he and Sukuna can do. He survived Yuki turning herself into a literal black hole. Even when Yuta Okkotsu finally executed him, Kenjaku had a contingency plan, transferring authority of the Great Merger to Sukuna. After 1,000 years of scheming, Kenjaku's chaos lived on even after his death. Suguru Geto. Suguru Geto's fall in Jujutsu Kaisen is one of the series' most tragic stories. He began as a student at Tokyo Jujutsu High alongside his best friend Satoru Gojo. At that time, Suguru was kind, principled, and deeply believed that sorcerers existed to protect non-sorcerers. This belief often clashed with Gojo's more detached worldview. Yet despite their disagreements, they were inseparable. Together, they called themselves the strongest and believed nothing could stand in their way. Everything changed with the failure to protect Riko Amane, the star plasma vessel, who was murdered right before them. What truly shattered Suguru was not only her death, but the reaction that followed. The star religious group applauded and celebrated her murder. Although Suguru restrained himself, believing sorcerers needed a reason to kill, that moment planted a seed of resentment that never left him. Over time, Suguru became trapped in what he described as an endless cycle of exorcism and consumption. His curse technique forced him to swallow cursed spirits, an act he compared to eating a vomit-soaked rag. Day after day, he endured this disgust to protect people who neither understood nor appreciated his sacrifice. Slowly, he began questioning why he was suffering for a world that celebrated innocent deaths. A conversation with Yuki Tsukumo pushed him further. She explained that non-sorcerers were the source of curses due to uncontrolled cursed energy and proposed either erasing cursed energy entirely or teaching everyone to control it. Suguru, however, reached a darker conclusion: eliminate all non-sorcerers. When asked if he hated them, he couldn't answer, but the decision had already begun forming. The breaking point came with the death of his junior Yuhaibata, followed by discovering two cursed girls, Mimiko and Nanako, being tortured by an entire village. Suguru massacred all 112 villagers in one night, rescued the girls, abandoned Jujutsu High, and declared, "I don't like monkeys." From then on, Suguru became a curse user who despised non-sorcerers, building a false religious group to gather cursed spirits while protecting fellow curse users as family. His ultimate goal was a sorcerer-only world. This culminated in the night parade of 100 demons, where he declared war on Jujutsu High while attempting to steal Riko Orimoto. Even during battle, he cried upon seeing young sorcerers protect each other. Defeated by Yuta Okkotsu, Suguru faced Gojo one last time, admitting he could never be happy in this world. Despite everything, their bond remained. Suguru Geto was an idealist who became a monster, a best friend lost to despair, and a man who chose genocide when he saw no other path forward. Now, Yuta Okkotsu, a shy, bullied kid who became one of the 4 special grade sorcerers and Gojo's greatest student. Yuta Okkotsu's nightmare began in childhood with Riko Orimoto, his closest friends. The two made an innocent promise to marry one day, but that happiness ended when Rika was killed in a car accident right in front of him. Unable to accept her death, Yuta unconsciously cursed her, rejecting reality so completely that he transformed Rika into one of the most powerful cursed spirits ever known, the Queen of Curses. From that moment, Yuta's life became unbearable. Rika's vengeful spirit followed him everywhere, violently attacking anyone who showed hostility toward him. Bullies were brutally injured, strangers were assaulted, and Yuta had no control over it. As a result, he became isolated and feared by everyone around him. He lost all confidence, suffered constant exhaustion, and genuinely believed the world would be better off without him. Yuta wanted to die, convinced that he himself was a curse. Everything changed when Satoru Gojo discovered him. Instead of allowing the higher-ups to execute Yuta, Gojo enrolled him at Tokyo Jujutsu High, believing his potential was extraordinary. At first, Yuta was weak and inexperienced, unable to fight or control his cursed energy. He relied heavily on his classmates, but through training with Maki Zenin and the support of Toge, Inumaki, and Panda, he slowly gained confidence and formed real bonds for the first time since Rika's death. The turning point came when Suguru Geto attacked the school and severely injured Yuta's friends. In that moment, Yuta abandoned his fear and unleashed Rika's full power. He revealed overwhelming cursed energy, reverse curse technique, and the shocking ability to copy other techniques, including cursed speech. Willing to give up his life, Yuta overpowered Geto's maximum Uzumaki and defeated him. After the battle, Yuta learned the painful truth. Rika was never the one who cursed him. He cursed her. As a descendant of Michizane Sugawara and a distant relative relative of the Gojo clan, Yuta possessed the rare power to unintentionally curse someone he loved. Accepting this, he finally freed Rika's soul, allowing her to pass on peacefully. Even after losing Rika's spirit, Yuta retained his immense cursed energy, surpassing even Gojo's in volume. He trained overseas with Miguel and returned as a dominant force. Following the Shibuya incident, his presence alone terrified sorcerers. Choso, a special grade, literally told Yuji to run because Yuta's strength was comparable to Gojo's. During the culling game, he effortlessly defeated Dhruv Lokhtawala, an ancient sorcerer who once conquered Japan. He fought Takako Uro and Ryu Ishigori, two incredibly powerful incarnated sorcerers at the same time, and won. With copied techniques, reverse cursed mastery, and his domain expansion, Authentic Mutual Love, Yuta Okkotsu became living proof that love can create monsters and saviors. And now we gotta talk about the legend himself, Satoru Gojo, the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer in the world. Him is Gojo, and Gojo is him. Satoru Gojo's story is unique because he was born blessed. He is the first sorcerer in 400 years to inherit both the Limitless technique and the Six Eyes, an almost impossible combination that makes him effectively untouchable. From birth, he was destined to be the strongest, raised as the pride of the Gojo clan and fully aware of his superiority. This power shaped his personality, confident, arrogant, and dismissive of threats because nothing in the world could truly harm him. As a student at Tokyo Jujutsu High, Gojo was already considered the strongest alongside his best friend Suguru Geto. The two were inseparable and reckless, believing nothing could challenge them. That illusion shattered when they failed to protect Riko Amanai, the star plasma vessel who was assassinated by Toji Fushiguro. The failure marked a turning point for both of them. Geto descended into darkness while Gojo was forced to evolve. During his battle with Toji, Gojo was pushed to the brink of death, stabbed and slashed beyond what should have been survivable. In that moment between life and death, he achieved a breakthrough, mastering reverse curse technique and fully understanding Limitless. He healed himself, unlocked Red and Hollow Purple, and killed Toji with overwhelming force, declaring, "Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one." From that moment on, Gojo truly surpassed all others. Despite his godlike strength, Gojo remains deeply human. Geto's eventual fall devastated him, and when Gojo was later forced to kill his former best friend, the emotional weight stayed with him forever. That loss shaped his true goal, not domination, but reform. Gojo became a teacher because he believed the Jujutsu world was rotten at its core. Instead of overthrowing it through violence, he chose to protect and educate a new generation of sorcerers, shielding students like Yuta Okkotsu and Yuji Itadori from execution and challenging the authority of the higher-ups. Gojo's abilities are unmatched. Limitless allows him to manipulate space itself, creating infinity, an invisible barrier that prevents anything from touching him. He can compress space into blue, repel it with red, and combine both into hollow purple, an attack that erases everything in its path. His domain expansion, Unlimited Void, overwhelms targets with infinite information, paralyzing their minds. His control is so refined that he can activate it for only 0.2 seconds and use his domain multiple times a day, something unheard of. Yet his greatest strength became his greatest burden. The Jujutsu world relied on him completely, isolating him at the top. Even Kenjaku admitted Gojo could not be defeated directly, which led to his sealing in the prison realm during the Shibuya incident by exploiting his emotional weakness toward Geto. After escaping, Gojo faced Sukuna and Shinjuku in the ultimate clash. He proved himself superior in speed, combat skill, and domain control, pushing Sukuna to his limit. However, Sukuna adapted and killed Gojo with an unseen slash. Gojo died smiling, satisfied that he'd inspired the next generation to carry on his dream. Satoru Gojo, the strongest sorcerer, the honored one, and the teacher who stood alone at the peak of Jujutsu sorcery. And now we talk about the ultimate villain, Ryomen Sukuna, the king of curses and the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer in history. And my favorite, Sukuna's story begins over 1,000 years ago during the Heian era, the golden age of Jujutsu. Unlike what legends say, Sukuna wasn't born a demon, he was human, but he was a mutant, born with 4 arms, 4 eyes, and a mouth on his stomach. His monstrous appearance led people to fear and reject him, calling him the disgraced one. This rejection bred resentment that would fuel his reign of terror for centuries. Sukuna became an unstoppable force of destruction. He single-handedly slaughtered the most elite warriors Japan had to offer, the Sun, Moon, and Star Squad, and the 5 empty generals of the Fujiwara clan. The authorities were so terrified they held festivals in his honor, just hoping he'd spare them. Sukuna was a glutton for violence, bloodshed, and human flesh. He relished in mass murder and the screams of his victims, comparing women and children to maggots crawling around. What made Sukuna truly terrifying wasn't just his power, it was his intelligence. He mastered every aspect of Jujutsu and developed techniques so devastating that even 1,000 years later, later, nobody could replicate them. His curse technique, Shrine, allowed him to unleash invisible slashes that could cut through anything, buildings, people, even space itself. His technique, Cleave, adjusted to his target's strength, guaranteeing a one-hit kill, and his Divine Flame produced fire that exceeded even the most powerful fire-based curses. But Sukuna's greatest achievement was his domain expansion, Malevolent Shrine. Unlike normal domains that create enclosed barriers, Sukuna's domain is open, manifested directly into reality. Everything within 200 meters gets relentlessly shredded by countless slashes. It's so powerful that even Satoru Gojo's Unlimited Void couldn't overpower it in a direct clash. When sorcerers finally managed to defeat him, Sukuna had the last laugh. He worked with Kenjaku to transform himself into 20 indestructible cursed objects, his fingers, allowing him to exist after death and wait for the perfect vessel. For 1,000 years, Sukuna's fingers scattered across Japan, each one containing a fragment of his soul and immense cursed energy. In 2018, Yuji Itadori consumed one of Sukuna's fingers, and the King of Curses was reborn. Trapped inside Yuji's body, Sukuna constantly mocked and tormented him, even ripping out Yuji's heart to force him into a binding vow. Sukuna didn't just want freedom, he wanted the perfect body to unleash his full power. His chance came when he transferred his soul into Megumi Fushiguro's body, stealing the 10 Shadows technique, the same technique that once killed a Six Eyes user from the Gojo clan. With this new power, Sukuna tamed Maharaga, the untamable Shikigami that adapts to any phenomenon, something no 10 Shadows user had ever accomplished. When Sukuna finally faced Gojo in Shinjuku, it was a battle between gods. Gojo was faster and dominated in hand-to-hand combat, but Sukuna was patient, cunning, and willing to sacrifice everything for victory. Using Maharaga's adaptation to infinity as a blueprint, Sukuna developed a slash that cuts the world, bypassing infinity completely and bisecting Gojo when he least expected it. But Sukuna's cruelty runs deeper than just killing. He views humans as insects, unable to comprehend why the weak cling to life instead of accepting their suffering. He believes in pure social Darwinism. The strong rule, the weak die. Yet ironically, Yuji Itadori, his former vessel, is the one person who truly challenges Sukuna's worldview. Yuji represents everything Sukuna hates: compassion, mercy, the value of human connection. And it fills Sukuna with a hatred he can't describe or ignore. Ryomen Sukuna, the four-armed demon, the disgraced one who became a king, the sorcerer so powerful that even death couldn't stop him, and the ultimate embodiment of Jujutsu's darkest potential. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, and watch this video next.